I'll do that.
Okay. So good morning. So today's session, before starting today's session, I would like you to have a quick recap of what was last week's. So any questions related to academic writing, cognition, metacognition differences, any questions that you have? Any questions?
No, ma'am.
No. Yeah. Okay. So everyone is clear? So reference writing also you can start your practice so that you will have the idea of how the reference writing actually happens. Okay, using the examples that are given, also check articles that are written with Harvard referencing so that you will have a complete idea of how exactly the referencing should be done. Okay, now let us go through a syllabus guide. So I've given here as two groups. What we can do is, I'll just put it in the chat box. Rohini, Rupa, and Sara can look through assessment criteria 1 and 2 in the module guide. Rohini, Rupa, and Sara. Yamini, Megha, and Anandita go through 3 and 4. That is,
Okay,
Rohini, Rupa, and Sara will be going through understanding, teaching, learning, and developing thinking and practice. The other three of you, analysis and discussion, communication and presentation. Please open your module guide and refer through your module guide. So this is the module guide, the details of the assessment criteria is shared here. You can see when it is distinction, how it is, when it is passed, and what is the criteria for fail. Now remember, in every LO, there is actually principal examiner's review that is given. So when you're doing your assignment also, please do read through those principal examiner's guidelines, okay? How exactly the examiner will be evaluating your assignment. So this is the first one. The second one. So down, if you see what are the areas that they are going to look into developing thinking and practice, it's clearly given. So here it is evidence of practice, evidence of learning, evidence of reflection. In an assessment criteria 3, it's analysis and discussion, evidence of learning, reflection. Can you see? And the last one, criteria 4, how the explanation must be provided, analysis, evaluation. So please read through it. Now time is 10:35. 10:45, I'll ask you to present your views on it.
9:35, ma'am.
9:35, 9:45. Sorry, I said 10:45. Okay, 9:45.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, Ranalini. Just go through the assessment criteria of your module guide, okay?
Okay.
And you can prepare for the 3 and 4 analysis and communication presentation.
Ma'am,
Yes, Mrinalini.
assessment criteria, is it shared something in link?
Module guide, the material,
Oh.
resource material, module guide. The first part is your assessment criteria.
Module.
Check the resources, module guide 5881 you have.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
What time you have given, ma'am, to start the discussion? I actually missed
9:45
9:45. Okay.
completed. Just a minute, give a little bit time.
Okay.
It's 1 minute. Yeah. So you're done, Rupa. Just give 2 minutes for others to complete, then we will start.
Sure, sure.
Others, if you have completed, just post a thumbs up so that no, we'll know. No, actually, Yamini, you will be just doing it as individual, this one only, not as groups. So I've just given the name allocation, so you can. Okay, okay. Rohini says she has completed. Okay, it's 9:44. Yeah. Yes, Rupa, you can start the presentation.
Yes. So I have just gone through the first criteria which you have given to our group. Right, ma'am, that is the assessment criteria, understanding, teaching, and learning. So here you asked
Yes.
us to go through the document, ma'am. So means that as far as my understanding concerned, ma'am, here it is being given that we the okay candidates, those who are doing, they must show a clear understanding of teaching and learning principles throughout their portfolio, which actually includes their
Take only 2 minutes and finish off. No,
yes,
take 2 minutes
yes,
and finish off. We'll go. Yeah.
yes, ma'am. Which actually includes their lesson plans, observation feedback, and their okay teaching activity log. So the evidence should not whatever the evidence that we are just providing, they just should not just describe what we actually did, but they should explain that how our okay practice is based on the educational concepts, right, ma'am? Such as that scaffolding, differentiation, assessment for learning, and constructivism also, ma'am. So I just want to give one example here. For example, our okay lesson plan might show the differentiation by just including the different tasks for the mixed ability groups. We should make our plan in such a way. And the second thing is that observation feedback also. Our observation feedback also might highlight that how that positive reinforcement helped improve the learner engagement. That is there, ma'am.
Okay.
Examples I have
Yes,
given
Rohini.
in my understanding.
Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, everyone. Today, understanding, teaching, and learning, we have the key points like application of theory to practice. So we need to give the good analysis related to the teachings what we have done, the observer feedback and teaching activity log and lesson plans, and we need to demonstrate broad understanding of the relevant concepts and principles of teaching and learning, and be able to apply them in practice with evidence of critical evaluation. And next one, developing thinking and practice. So we should practice well with a focused understanding of the relevant theories, and there should be some evidence that the theory what we are applying, the theories and principles whatever we are applying should have some evidence that we did that thing, like um, that how they are learned from the experience. Okay, ma'am. So there should be evidence that
Okay.
we are applying the theories and the principles, that we our own principles and theories, evaluating them effectively. So this includes effective classroom
Okay.
practice, like whatever we are the theories and principles whatever we are planning or on our own, we need to implement them in the classroom, and through the students feedback and the students what it is students results, we can observe that our how far we are our theories are good, and application of
Okay.
theory to the practice. So we should give the practical knowledge to the students, and whatever we are
Okay.
whatever theories we are proposing, we need to show them in the practical way. and reflective evaluation.
Mm.
So whatever mistakes that we done, we self-analyzing ourselves, and mm, whether the theories that we proposed is going in the good manner and able to reach to each and every child. So evaluating ourselves in
Okay.
and reflecting. These are the things that we did.
Okay.
Thank you,
Okay.
ma'am.
Okay. Thank you, Rohini. Sarah?
Yes, ma'am. Okay, for our my topic is assessment criteria. For I'm so sorry, my screen got froze. Just a minute. Okay, yes. So, an assessment criteria are how the examiner is going to grade us. We have my understanding is that for there are four criteria that we have to look after. One is understanding, teaching, and learning, and the other is developing thinking and practice, analyze and discussion, and communication and presentations. And how are we going to be like distinction, pass or fail? For distinction, we need to have a very well focused understanding, like are we applying all the concepts that we are learning
Mm.
over here, and the principles and everything whatever we are learning, is it we have to show the evidence also in our written work that this is how we have applied these things in a well
Mm.
focused way. And then that is a distinction for that. And then for the past person, we need a broad understanding,
Mm.
like it's not very well focused like the distinction one. It is a broad you have understood all the concept relevant, that is relevant for your teaching, and you're applying it in a meaningful way. And fail is that you're not able to understand your
Mm.
weaknesses or where your strength is there, and you're not even able to utilize those concepts and principles in a place, and that is not like, and it not or even inappropriately applied. And the key skills, it talks
Okay.
about
Okay.
application of theories and analysis and critical evaluations.
Okay. Okay. The next two. Who is ready? Anand, Mega, you're ready?
Yes, ma'am. So
Okay,
our
Mega, you can start.
yeah, ma'am. So our assessment criteria 3 is about analysis and discussion, where the candidates, after they are done with their study, they must analyze any questions or issues which have come up after their study in a well-structured and focused manner, supported by relevant examples, relevant and useful examples. And along with that, they should also present information from various sources like textbooks, websites, journals, and articles in a proper way.
Mm. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
I'll presenting
Yes,
and
Yamini.
organize. Can you hear me, ma'am?
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah, continue,
this is
please.
about this is mainly about how we organize whatever we analyze. How well structured we organize whatever we are analyzing and discussion. So to pass, we have to be like the main points are stick, be clear, crisp, and stick to the criteria of Harvard style and academic writing. So don't get too personal. Like your personal emotions should be overflowing, and it should be organized to your point that you have taken to address or your project is
Mm.
addressed to. So the main area of focus is how you are arranging it clearly and organized. Getting information and organizing them in order is what presentation and organizing is focused on.
Okay. Okay. Very good. Right. Yes, Anandita.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning, ma'am. Ma'am, the two criteria given to our group was assessment criteria 3, analysis and discussion, which I would take up first. Ma'am, after reading the document and going through it, I understand that the key skills that are required for it first is analysis. That means my ability as a learner to break down the information which is given to me and explore the cause and effects. And the second is reasoning, where I provide some logical arguments regarding whatever I'm stating, and it needs to be in a coherent order so that whosoever is grading my work, they need to understand like how it happened in sequence. And the third is research. So I need to cite valid sources with proper, appropriate Harvard style citation in order to do that. If I can explain it this with an example, ma'am, I would say that I'm reflecting on a particular lesson. For example, a persuasive writing, which I've done in one of my grades, and a descriptive response, which would certainly fall under the criteria of just passing, would be students enjoy the debate activity. But an analytical response of it would be something which would dig much more deeper. For example, debate activity helped the students apply the persuasive techniques such as emotive language and rhetorical questions. However, some of the weaker students, some of the weaker responses and speakers struggle because I didn't model the structure clearly first. So in the next engagement, I would like to provide enough scaffolding for the learners in order to help them in this. So this kind of explanation, I believe, would fall under analysis and discussion. And the second and the one which was given to our group
Yes.
was, ma'am, communication and presentation. Ma'am, over here, the key skills, I believe, are structure and organization of work, how I'm organizing the workflow properly, whether my style adheres to the academic style of lighting and clarity, which is supported, and referencing and citation again in Harvard style. And ma'am, if I can explain this also with an example, for let's say one teacher can explain the reflection, and I think my lesson was good because students like it. But if I'm talking about one which is distinctive response, which deserves a distinction, the response could be something like the lesson was very effective because the student engagement was increased, as evidenced by their active participation in the activity, in the pair activity. And I can even cite some researchers and some educationists like Vygotsky's theories of social learning or peer interaction, which promotes deeper understanding. So this can present a very clear and professional as well as like evidence-based uh, like portfolio of what I'm trying to reflect in my learning and teaching.
Very true. Yes, very true. Last person, Mrinalini. You're on mute, Mrinalini.
Yes. Uh, so through the guide, what I can observe is with the study and evident examples and experience, we can analyze the question and issues, and we with the proper reasoning, evidences, and reliable sources. With the research, with the support of research also, that can support to the research, and we should follow and adopt the Harvard style, preferably. Uh,
That's not
yeah,
preferably here, it's compulsory.
compulsory.
Yeah.
So yes. So analysis of the question and reasoning, proper reasoning and research, and the use of the Harvard style is very much required. Um,
Hmm.
and with the support of the references and key skill, structured and presentation of the work um, for the academic conversation, um, can be a right path for the presentation, which can support us uh, the prescribed assessment criteria for the individual one.
Okay.
That is
Okay.
what I observe.
Okay. So if you look at your assessment criteria, there is a clear structure in which the assessment criteria is set. Okay. First, it starts with your understanding, learning, and teaching. Once you understand it, what exactly are you going to do? You're going to start thinking about it and then applying it in practice, isn't it? So after thinking and applying it into practice, what do? You analyze and you evaluate what you have done in the class. That comes the next. Next is your action plan. That is how you communicate and present it. So all these four in every bit of your assignment has to have a certain sequence, a proper structure, reasoning, academic writing, and it has to have a proper logical sequence so that the examiner understands. The crux of the assessment criteria is the assessment criteria is set in such a way that the examiner, literally, it's as if the examiner is peeping into your class and understanding how exactly you have done and why you have done that and how it worked out in your class or did not work out in your class and what was your analysis out of it. So through Cambridge, this particular course, it is nothing but it's building that cycle of analysis so that we become a better teacher. So moving into the first LOA, the first unit learning outcome, KQ1 is what is your understanding of concept of learning and how people learn? Everything, remember, it's given in the module guide. Okay. KQ2 is what part does memory play in the learning process? Third one is what are the key differences between, remember, earlier they were asking us to analyze only the learning theories. Here they've clearly mentioned you will have to write about the key differences between the four major learning theories. Last one is what is metacognition and why is it a part of a learning process? So next, how children learn. So this is your individual activity. You will have to read through the lesson how children learn from resources, how people learn. Page numbers are given there. 79, that is actually the book number. 91 will be the number that you see on the PDF page. Okay. 113 is the book page number. 125. So after reading through it, reflect upon your personal understanding of learning happening in your class. Was it participatory or was it acquisitional? Which is better and why and when? That is also very important. When can you have participatory? When can you have acquisitional? Okay, and which is important when you will have to discuss and give us with examples. And please note down whatever your friends are discussing from now on, because this may actually help you in reflecting. Okay.
So, ma'am, we should start reading from page 91 to 125 in the PDF.
Yeah, whichever page you have, yes.
In brackets, in the
Whichever,
brackets.
it's actually a book actually. It's actually a book.
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
So
ma'am.
if you
Yes, ma'am.
click
We have
on
downloaded
91 page, yeah. So
to
you will
125.
get page 79. Go to the, yeah, page, the PDF page number. Click on, just type 91, you will get page 79 of the book.
Okay.
Type 91 there.
Ma'am, I'm sorry. What do we have to do exactly? What do we have to read?
See, how people learn. That's a book that is shared with you in the resources. Open the PDF. You have the page numbers asked in the top, isn't it? In that box, put 91. It will open to the page 79 of the book. How children learn.
Thank you, ma'am.
Can you see? With 79, but actually I've opened page 91 here. Yes, sir. Oh, 1 minute. Ma'am, can you just give me a 5 minutes break? I'll just talk and I'll get back.
Sure, ma'am.
Yeah, we have read. Okay, Yamini
Yes, ma'am.
says done. Right. Yes,
Yes, ma'am. But
Yamini, can you just, yeah, 1 minute. Yes,
yes, ma'am.
Yamini.
Yes, ma'am. We have
Yes,
to give examples also related to our class. How
Yes,
that
yes,
created
please,
learning is
please read the
beneficial.
chat box.
Okay.
Yes, please read the chat box. You will have to give example based on your understanding, whether it was, now remember what you're talking here must also be written in your assignment. It need not be the same word, but remember why you consider it, what learning theory you're going to take into consideration, how you analyzed it, and how exactly it was functioning in your classroom. That is the way your assignment also has to be written. Okay. Yeah. Yes, Yamini, you can start.
ma'am, this is an interesting concept which I observed in my class. So I was
Okay.
able to connect to it very quickly. So so all what the psychologists are telling is initially they used to believe children are a clean slate where their experiences and everything are embedded over the time. But over the time, psychologists
Mm.
like they started seeing the children's cognitive skills in a new light where there are two theories I uh, which I observed in my class is Gibson's and Vygotsky's. So Gibson is
Mhm.
like uh, perceptual learning theorist. He is the father of perceptual learning theories. So he believes that babies don't start from zero. They have the basic sense they of skills to learn uh, basic. They are born with the basic level of skills of understanding, and I have observed that to be true in my class. I'll give you the example to both the things connectively at the end. And second one is Vygotsky. He emphasizes on support agents, which like our social environment, tools or cultural objects of people, whatever, like teachers, parents, our social tool, all of these, which push them there to cross the boundaries. So these two are the main theories that
Mm.
are in my class, in my children also. So uh, as I earlier said, grade one surprised me a lot. Uh, like they blew my mind when I was introducing topics like story plots and tenses, especially tenses. So it is a little tricky thing for them, but when I have given certain tools to make them understand, like uh, initially their own experiences, they're able to bring all those experiences out as if it is feeded in their system, though they are not technically taught that this is this and this is this. But when we organized in a class in a structured way of how it has to be arranged and what we are trying to teach them in a technical point of view of how they have to look at things. They are able to organize the structure, they are able to organize the subject that we are teaching them. Ma'am, are you able to hear?
Yamini, just a second. I guess ma'am has got a call.
Okay, okay.
Just a minute, Yamini.
Yes, ma'am.
Team, I guess like ma'am has a medical emergency. That's the reason she's continuously getting calls. Please excuse. And then whatever task she is given, just please check on that. So if it is an emergency, we will see how do we go ahead with the class.
Okay.
Kindly excuse.
Okay, ma'am. Sure.
Sorry. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, continue, Yamini.
So, the tools that we provide them help them leap out of their boundaries and learn. In that concept of tenses was they understood by different teaching methodologies which I have used. They are able to apply and write. So initially, I had the perception that they are kids; they will not be able to process it. It is a tough job for them. And then I understood they already have it inbuilt in them. They are a bottomless cup where knowledge can be stored, but the pace of learning is decided by them. Whether they want to learn or they want
Mm.
to present it, or it depends entirely on them. So it looks like we are teaching, they are definitely learning, but applying is entirely based, they decide the pace of learning. One thing that I learned from my class was absolutely what was provided here in correlation. And I totally
Very
believe
true.
and Vygotsky's theory go hand in hand.
No, there are so many theories here. I mean, actually, we are talking only the initial theories. Actually, for the last course, memory was not added. And now
Oh,
it is scientifically proved that every generation, the base learning has increased, because what happens is the parental genetics, the learning is different. So a next generation's base starts from the top of the parental generation's learning. That is the base from which they're starting. That is the reason why they are actually, we are adapters, like your generation are adapters. We are actually just getting used to technology, but they are all born to technology. So that is
yeah,
how
very,
the generation is shifting. Yes.
yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Yes,
So,
Rupa.
Yes, ma'am. So I just want to ask first, we need to explain about the document which we read, and then we need to actually give the example based on that. Is it
Okay.
like that?
No, it's up to you, Rupa, because see, it's purely on
Okay.
your understanding. Remember, each of us are teachers, so our understanding is what matters. Whether it's right or wrong, we will conclude once it is done. So there is
Okay.
nothing right or wrong. Remember, as far as Cambridge is concerned, there is no one correct answer. Please understand this. It is your experiences, how you analyze, how you evaluate your theories. Okay? Yeah.
Ma'am. So here it is given about how children learn. First, it is given about the infants capabilities theories, ma'am. So here it is just given about the infants that they were seen as the passive beings. Okay, just like the blank slate minds that is okay given like the tabula rasa, which actually they actually unable to form the complex thoughts without the language. And the view was being okay challenged by the theorists like the Jean Piaget in the 1920s, and he just showed that the children actively construct knowledge through the stages of the cognitive development. It is given in the document. And he also believed that thing that the infants they just okay gradually develop understanding of the objects, space, time, and casualty through the sensory coordination. It's being given. And after that, in the year 1969, okay, Alner Gibson, he just emphasized that the infants perpetual learning and the natural exploratory behaviors while information okay processing theories compare the mind to a computer. And they just highlighting the okay children's ability to set the goals, how they solve the problems, and how they organize their knowledge in areas just like the biology, numbers, physics. It is just given by the okay Jalem and the Brown 1986, Carey and the Jalem 1991, and the Wellman and the Jalem 1992. It's given in the document. So the growing body of the okay, research showed that the infants and the toddlers are much more capable, curious, and that intellectually engaged than once believed. So in the year 1978,
Mm.
Lev he just further explained the picture by just focusing on the role of the social and the cultural context in the learning. What's the role of that? And his concept of the zone of the proximal development. Right, ma'am? So he just explains that how children learn best when supported by the adults or more okay capable peers, enabling them to perform their okay tasks just beyond their current ability. And okay, that is also called the scaffolding, zone of proximal development, also known as the scaffolding. Right, ma'am? And after that, if I'll just summarize this, that
Can you give an
that
example, Rupa? Can you
yes,
can you just
yes,
give an
yes.
example? So where do you think it's participatory? Where do you think it's acquisitional? Can you just give an example of that?
Yes, so I just want to give the example of the participatory learning activity which I have actually conducted in my class. It is just okay based on that I just gave them the students to just write a descriptive paragraph about the place. So I just asked them that they should just go through a sensory walk, and after that will be okay followed by their group brainstorming. So they so here I just okay included that okay Gibson's okay that ecological theory I just included in that sensory experience. So my grade 7 students, they just take a short walk, right ma'am, around the school garden only. And uh, right, I just asked them to observe okay everything using their five senses. So what do they see, what do they hear, what do they smell, feel, or uh, even okay they should just okay imagine also certain things. So while they just come back to the class, I just asked them, I just placed the students in the mixed ability groups, and each group shares their observation, and they just okay discuss through their okay descriptive language that actually they can use to bring the place to actual okay life in their writing. So scaffolded okay learning is being done here, okay, guided by the okay Vygotsky's zone of proximal development here. So with my support and with the peer okay collaboration, ma'am, each student begins to write a descriptive paragraph, because okay they have done the okay walk, and they just do the brainstorming. After that I just mix them right in the mixed ability group. So now okay they can start okay writing their descriptive paragraph. And right ma'am, and I just gave them the vocabulary prompts I have given, sentence okay starters I have given, okay, like this right ma'am, I have just incorporated that participatory learning in my class through this activity of the sensory walk and the group brainstorming using two concepts of the Gibson and the
Okay.
Vygotsky's. Right.
Okay. Yeah. Anyone else?
Ma'am,
Okay, Anandita. Yeah, Anandita. Yeah, after that, Rohini, I'll give it. Yeah.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, after reading the resource material that was provided, ma'am, the basic concept which I understood is that learning is not a passive transfer of knowledge, but it is an active construction of the meaning which is shaped by what learners have already known before. So, ma'am, if I take it because the question that was asked was a reflection in my own classes. So I would like to say that especially during lessons on like persuasive writing or when they're analyzing a piece of comprehension, learning, I believe, understands, unfolds as a participatory process. And then when they in peer learning or when they're going doing a group activity, they're interpreting text together or challenging each other's viewpoints when they're debating on a topic. They are co-constructing the understanding of knowledge through dialogue. And I believe this falls under the social constructivist theory by Vygotsky, which emphasizes that knowledge is built through interaction together and language is within the social context. Language is built within the social context. And ma'am, even when they're like debating ethical choices in a particular social situation, particularly in AS classes for their essay paper, or when they're debating whether the use of social media in the modern writing, this is not just learning of ideas, I would say this is like negotiating with them. So this is something that falls under the constructivist form of learning. But I would also like to stress on the fact that there are acquisitional elements and moments which are required, particularly when I'm teaching some conventions of grammar or some argumentative structure or some vocabulary precision that cannot go without acquisitional elements, because those needs to be retained. And this I
Very
believe
true.
aligns more with the cognitive learning theory, where mental processes such as memory and attention are the key factors and elements for students' learning and acquisition. Students, I also believe that mom, students needs this foundation. But I've also noticed on the other hand that unless this acquisitional moments are followed by some sort of participatory element in the class, like how to apply them in their own essays, then this learning and understanding remains a very shallow moment and it is not effective in class. And I believe ultimately, to culminate all my
Great.
viewpoints together, that learning happens only when the two modes of converge, like when acquisition is fueled by participation later. A striking moment, I would say, like in one of my classes where there was a peer review session during an AS level students class where they participated in persuasive techniques where they were reviewing each other's drafts. And their discussion and which followed during the next few classes, it not only revealed the definition or how they recalled them, but it also revealed how they were able to analyze and evaluate and transfer what I've written given in the acquisition and transfer it to the learning, and how they reviewed and discussed about what was given. So I believe that was a amalgamation of both constructivist and cognitive approach, and I believe that is exactly what is
Very
illustrated
true.
in how people learn, which where they say learning with understanding. That's all.
Mm. Very true. Actually, without acquisition, you can't move into participatory because you will need to have some sort of an acquisition happening. Then you will have to reinforce it through participatory so that there is a proper learning happening or proper recall that can happen during the examination. Okay. Yeah. Yes. And further, for applying also, without acquisition, they cannot move into applying actually what they have learned. Yes. Yes, Rohini.
Yes, ma'am. I am also strongly agreed with Anandita, ma'am, what she said. Actually, acquisition means gaining the knowledge from the book, what the students need to learn from that, and so that they will understand the concept thoroughly. And when they participated in group activities, they could able to implement that. They could able to exhibit their own ideas, what they understood from the concept clearly, and they could share their ideas in the groups. And in group performances they can come out, they can come up with new new ideologies related to that concept. So the students group
Mm.
activities, they can learn simultaneously, everyone can learn beyond that, beyond the concept which they acquired from the textbook knowledge. So uh, both go
Very true.
hand in hand, both go hand in hand, like acquisition and participation, so they can learn more vibrantly
Mm.
through that. So this is what I understood from the
Yeah.
document,
But
and I
remember,
give
when you go more of acquisition, Rohini, when you go more of acquisition, the classroom becomes more passive. So
but
you will have to have acquisition, but no, it should be seen that it is followed with lot of participatory work so that there is lot of learning happening and that class is active in that
yes,
way.
ma'am. Sometimes I will give in my class. Sometimes I will give like apart from group discussions. One time I will give group discussions, dividing class into groups and making them to discuss the topic and come out with the ideas regarding to that concept that they acquired from the textbook. And sometimes I will ask students to learn the concept thoroughly, and I will ask them to explain that on the board, like uh, individually also, reading that context in the textbook and what they understood from that, and give their ideas on, and explain to the other children. Like that I will make my class, so
Okay.
that both ways it will be win-win, like that. That's it. Thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyone else? Mrinalini, yes, Mrinalini.
Uh, yes. Recently, for grade 6, there's one lesson, the Fête et the Festival in our French language. So there, children are expected to learn the different festivals which are celebrated in France, what is the month or the duration, and what are the special greetings. So um,
Mm-hmm.
we could deliver it generally, or classically we would deliver it in a acquisitional mode. It would be more boring to them. So I thought I can conduct it in more participatory way through the Kolb's experiential learning cycle, and which is do, review, and learn and apply. So I made
Yeah.
groups. I divided my class into the groups, and they went through the short notes, very short notes of 3 4 lines, and on their own, they made a short presentation note. Every group came in front of the class and they presented it, and at the same time spontaneously they were supposed to ask at least 2 questions to the whole class randomly, and they it was very interacting. They enjoyed it a lot, and uh, they learn a lot. So I also enjoyed the way I could implement it. So yes, I believe compared to acquisitional, the participatory is more better. It works practically. Yes, that's it. Thank you very much.
Right.
Okay,
It
ma'am,
is
can
not
I say that?
actually, see, one thing is, yes, Sarah, just a minute. See, it is not that whether we have completely participatory, completely acquisition. Remember, your answer to the question should show that there is a little bit of acquisition also happening in the class, and followed by a lot of participatory so that learning can happen. Okay. Yes, Sarah.
I would like to ask, sorry, uh, I think after going through the documentation, acquisition is more required for some fundamental knowledge. Delivering when we deliver some fundamental knowledge, that time we can take help of the acquisitional one. Yes.
Yes. See, for example, Mrinalini, that you're teaching French, okay? When you're teaching a grammar part, initially it is going to be acquisitional, right?
Yes.
You're going to tell the rules. Now, when you are asking your students to follow the rules, are you going to use acquisitional practice? That is not possible. You will have to make it participatory so that they will identify the mistakes. But how much? Now, you have told only less. Your acquisition part was less. That participatory goes into multiple periods, so that there is lot of practice. One way, one it can be they tell the answer, other peer evaluates. Another it can be that no, they give sentences, wrong sentences, ask their peers to correct it. Okay, it can be picking out words and jigsaw puzzle and correcting and framing sentences. So it can be any activity. Now all that comes as participatory, what we are doing for learning and reflecting.
Okay.
You
Thank you.
understood. So whenever you are teaching also, it is very less of acquisition, more of participatory that you will do, because learning has to happen. Okay. Yes, Sarah.
Yes, ma'am. After reading this, I have understood that uh, if I start from the beginning, it's like children use people. We people used to think that children are blank slate like that, and they were like researchers on that, like how they know automatically how to suck and have the food, and how can they kick. From there, from there the actual people started researching over it, and then there are different ways of they deduce how can child is very smart. Like we think that they don't know anything, but they do know. They have internal and
Yeah.
external world. But from this, what relate to me more is I when I for schooling and the role of questioning. So when I can give an example on that also, that in my civics class, civics, for some reason, without even I started, children will be like, we don't know this, we don't understand it. They are not even ready to listen, no matter how easy the chapter is. They are not ready to listen. So I didn't know that, but I did it. Like over here, it says that when you ask questions that are very easy to relate or to answer, when they start answering the questions, the topic become very easy for them, and it kind of, they believe that they are dominating over some, like they know they started having the idea that they know something. And then the class became very interactive for me. So this is over here. So this thing relate me asking them question that they already know. Like the example over here is like for a small baby, there's a teddy bear, and then they are showing that bear to it, and that obviously they know that that's a teddy bear in their hand. So starting with simpler and smaller questions as per the age, it will bring self confidence in them, and if they're having any problems relating to it, they will start relating to the subject with proper questions.
Right. Sarah, what you said is a wonderful example, but there are theories connecting to it. When you said connecting to something that they know, we call it as prior knowledge check, connecting to what they know
Yes.
earlier. Okay. Now you have related with something like a teddy bear. That is also coming under connectivism theory. And that is the foundation for scaffolding, taking them from what they know to what they don't know. So known to unknown, that comes under scaffolding. So that is where zone of proximal development actually happens when you like handhold them, that is your hand holding, taking them to an extent, slowly leaving them till they become independent. If you look at mentor-mentee relationship also, you will find the same thing, scaffolding happening. Mentor has to carry the mentee till they become like equal and then leave the mentee and now act as peers. So that is how actually learning happens, moves forward. Okay. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
ma'am, when we are actually writing, we all, when we are like we are all learning this for our assignments. So, when we are writing an assignment, it have to be with the proper theory, with our understanding, and then with our class understanding. And then if it contradicts something, then we can write that. So that is how the writing should also go,
Yes.
right, ma'am?
Yes. Yes.
So like whatever, if I'm sharing
Yeah.
anything of my personal experience in my class, I put that into theories.
Yes. You
Okay,
have to
thank you,
relate
ma'am.
it with theories and right. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. And ma'am, when I'm
Yeah.
relating with theories, I even have to then I relate it with the theory, and then that theory with if I have any reference, then I have to write it down that also, like how it is written
Now
here
we have
in
told
when we
theory,
are
isn't
doing.
it? Now I connected the theory. Sarah, I've now connected. Now from where did I get that theory? Some research article written by someone. So that I have to take it as a connection and write it. Write the references.
Okay,
Okay. Yeah.
yes, ma'am. Okay, thank you so much, ma'am.
Yes. Megha. Yes, Megha. After Megha speaking, we'll take a small break and then continue. Yes.
Yeah, ma'am. So, after going through the article, I understood that if I compare acquisitional and participatory, so acquisitional is better than participatory because it leads to the foundational understanding of the concepts first, which will
Mm.
make the learners better understand the content, the topic, and then it will help them get more involved into the activities which we assign to them. So I would like to
Okay.
cite a small example from grade 6. When last week only I was taking the topic acids and alkalis in science, and
Mm.
I explained them first because it was a new topic to the grade 6 learners. So I need to explain the concept to them. And there was a point where we have to identify whether a substance is an acid or alkali, that through a test, litmus test, and using that pH scale.
Mm.
So first I demonstrated it with to the kids. They understood it, and then when I divided them into groups and I gave them some unknown acid and alkalis, they were easily able to identify which is an acid and which is an alkali, depending on the change of the color in that pH scale. So this is why I feel that.
Megha, now Megha, I just want to ask you a question. You
Yes,
did the test or you asked your students to do the test?
I first demonstrated it, ma'am. First, I demonstrated it. I made
Okay.
them understand that
Mm.
this is what happens when we dip a litmus paper in an acid. This the color changes and all. I demonstrated first. Then, when I asked them to do, they were able to identify it. So acquisitional
Okay.
helps
So
in
how much time did you actually spend on it?
it was, ma'am, 2 days.
How much time did you
On first
2 minutes?
first
How much time
no
did they spend on it?
means, ma'am, in doing the activity.
The same activity when they were doing,
Yeah, ma'am.
how much time did they spend on it? Students spend on it?
1 period, ma'am.
1 period. Did it directly? They took everything that they grasped and started doing it, or were there some other questions along with it?
There were questions, ma'am. There were questions because when they were using the pH scale, there was a confusion, little bit of confusion regarding the change of colors and all. So yeah, there was a little bit of confusion for which I need to give them again a push.
Now, if you were only explaining it, do you think that confusion would have arisen, or do you think they would have understood it much better? If you were only explaining that, your explanation took 2 minutes only.
No, not 2 minutes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Now,
No.
when they, let us say 10 minutes, the other
Oh,
30 minutes, let us say students did. But
hmm,
when they did, they had a
hmm,
lot of questions and there was confusion, right?
yes.
So now, do you think that was a valid confusion that they had?
Yes, ma'am. They had a valid confusion. It was valid because the topic was new to them, the concept was new to them. So they took their own
Okay.
sweet time to understand the things.
Very good. Now you came to the point. So now my question is, do you think acquisition becomes more important or participatory becomes more important?
Ma'am, I
You
would say
look at the
acquisition leads
time, you
to.
look at the leads to participation. But if it was only acquisition, do
Hmm,
you think learning would have happened? Now you told there was a confusion. Now that confusion has resulted in them better understanding.
yes.
Okay. Now there were some doubts that you did not expect them to have.
Hmm,
Right. Now, if
right.
you were explaining that, that doubts would not have been cleared. Now, when they were doing, they got those doubts, the doubts were also clear. They understood how to keep the solution, how to put test for acid or base. They have
Yes.
understood now, remember the every step of the process.
Right, ma'am.
So, which do you think was learning? If now in your case, the learning only happened orally and it was only like acid color change, base color change. That is the only concept that they have understood. Now,
Hmm.
when they did it practically, was that the only transformation of knowledge that or transfer of knowledge that has happened? Was that the only that two ideas only were transferred?
Yes, ma'am. The concept was transferred and they understood it through
Now
the.
that is your no, Megha, that was the outcome. But
Yeah.
do you think for the child that was the only learning that happened when they were doing a participatory activity?
No, ma'am.
So how now when they were participating, the
Hmm,
learning process was in multidimensional,
hmm,
isn't it? But during acquisitional process, it was only on the concept. That's it. Even
yes.
that you were not confident whether the student has learned or not. Once they went into participatory, you told that
Hmm,
had to. Now, in order to for them to move into participatory, you had to give them guidelines, you had to give them rules. Now, yes, it is overwork for us, but because of that, their learning became multisensory, multidimensional.
yes.
There was two type of knowledge that was transferred. One was the content and one was the surrounding knowledge, which you could not give through acquisition. Base is acquisition, but it always has to be less. But the learning in your class happens when your teaching or learning is more participatory. You understood? So
Yes,
do
ma'am.
not write in your assignment that no, I prefer acquisition mode of teaching or acquisition part of learning, because it indicates that as a teacher you're preferring a passive classroom rather than an active classroom.
Yes. Got it, ma'am.
Okay. So you should say that in my class, there is a little bit of acquisition that happens, followed by a lot. Don't use the same statement because no, then it becomes like copied, plagiarized. The idea should come that there is a little bit of acquisition happening, but more of participatory, because this is how my students learn. Okay, that has to be given. Okay, yeah, we'll take a 5 minutes break and come back. Okay.
Ma'am, do we need to read something in 5 minutes?
No, take a break.
Okay.
Yeah, we can come back. So we'll continue. As Mrinalini said, so when you're writing your assignment, when you're writing your assignments, please do follow, okay, the Kolb cycle, whatever you're doing, review it, what you're learning from it, how you're applying it must be written very clearly. Okay. So next, let us look at the learning theories. The various learning theories. The various learning theories that we will be looking at are behaviorism, constructivism, cognitive learning process, social cognitivism, metacognition. Okay. Now, other than that, we will also be looking at role of memory. So just go through these theories from the book Learning Theories. You have a book shared with you that is Learning Theories. You take only one theory. Okay. So Yamini, you go with metacognition. Rupa, you can go with constructivism. Okay. Megha, you can go with behaviorism. Mrinalini, social learning process. Okay. Social cognitivism. Sara, cognitive learning process. Rohini, you can go again with constructivism. Anandita, go with metacognition. Okay, one theory you can just read and explain. I'll give you 10 minutes time. It's 10:52. So 10, sorry, 11 to I will be asking you. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Take one theory so that no, you will have time also to read, understand, and also give examples. You need not give your examples. You can connect it with any classroom scenario and talk about it. Okay. Done? Yeah, you can start your discussions now. So we'll start with behaviorism.
Yes, ma'am. May I?
Yes, Megha.
Yes, ma'am. So, what I understood about behaviorism is basically uh, it is something which focuses on the behavior which we observe rather than the internal thoughts and the emotions, focusing on the internal thoughts and the emotions of the child. And it suggests that the behaviors are basically learned through interactions with the environment and with the surrounding. So, as a teacher,
Mm,
if we want to reinforce positive environment in the class, we need to reward the kids in the form of a star, maybe for completing the homework, or positive compliments we can give, or we can give them some extra play time, which may
mm,
bring a change in the behavior of the child. And we should also set
mm,
clear rules and regulations in our class, which also helps to bring about a change in the behavior of the child.
mm. Okay.
Yeah.
So
This,
behaviorism is basically based on three researchers, okay? One is
mm,
Pavlov. Pavlov's you would have heard about operant conditioning experiment. Then B.F. Skinner. Skinner is another whose experiments are widely appreciated. There is Thorndike. These are the three researchers, educational researchers, whose findings have been clubbed together as behaviorism. So basically, this model is called the carrot and stick model. So it's more about external rewards and punishments. So if you are not following, then what is the punishment? That doesn't mean this theory is useless, because we will have to set environment in our class for learning. It cannot be a chaotic environment. The rules and regulations that we set in our class also comes under behaviorism. Okay. So you will have to understand where exactly you're using behaviorism and how exactly you're using, whose principles you're using, whose theory you're using. Based on that, you will have to write your ideas into it. Okay. The next one is constructivism. Yeah. Constructivism. Who's going to talk about constructivism?
Yeah, ma'am.
Yeah.
Constructivism is
Okay.
learning through the inquiry method and experimentation and discussion.
Mm,
And it actually makes to understand um, their own understanding and knowledge of the world through experiences and reflection. And learning is active. So in this word itself, it is their constructivism. Means we need to acquire, students need to acquire knowledge from the basic, like slowly in step by step manner, and they need to like
mm,
trial
mm,
and
mm,
error. They need to implement the knowledge which they learned from the classroom or the textbook, and they need to implement it in a step-by-step manner. While teaching also, we should teach the students in a constructive way, giving more examples and making them to interact in classroom sessions and experiments, and making them to explore their own thoughts and ideas and keep it in order to give it a final shape to the uh, concept which they have learned. So, constructivism
Okay.
is that they will be learning through
Mm,
their
mm.
own understanding of the concept. This is what.
Okay. Okay, Rohini. Yes, Troopa.
Yeah, ma'am. So regarding the constructivism, ma'am, it's a learning theory that actually emphasizes how actually learners actively build their own understanding rather than they just okay passively receiving the information which is being influenced by the work of the okay Piaget and the Vygotsky. And it just okay constructivism it
Mm,
just focus on the cognitive development and the importance of the social interaction language like uh, uh, like the private speech and the meaningful learning, and that should be within the okay learners environment. And the constructivism encourages okay teachers to guide students through their zone of proximal development, that is the space between what they can do alone and what they can do with the help of their teachers. And it just also highlights, ma'am, that how the classroom structures and the teacher expectation impact the motivation and the achievement. It's given in the document.
mm,
And the okay constructive classroom, okay, ma'am, it just often use the okay discussions, peer assisted learning, inquiry, and the debates to just deepen the understanding. Here, I just want to give one example
mm,
regarding my class that the students they might read a poem and then they just work in the pairs to just interpret its meaning, followed by their group okay debate on its
mm.
theme. So it actually helping them construct knowledge through their okay dialogue and the guided support. So the here I just act as a okay facilitator, not not okay just a provider of the facts. I just help the students reflect on their learning to just become more and more okay independent and motivated thinkers.
Okay. Yeah.
Right,
So
ma'am?
when
And
we talk
regarding
of
yeah,
okay, when we talk of constructivism, we are talking of like how to build the conceptual map on the in the head. Okay. So for example, if you look at curriculum mapping itself, you will see that in kindergarten, they learn about animals. If you see, when we look at EVS, grade 1, they will be learning about wild animal. In kindergarten, it's only names that they remember. They slowly they will start understanding the difference between wild animals, domestic animals, farm animals. And slowly, when they come to grade 3, 4, and 5, they start understanding okay, animals, they have different products that we eat from animals, all that. And from 4th, 5th onwards, they will start going into the system of animals. Can you see how exactly the knowledge is constructed? So one block at a time. The same way, remember Sarah said, recalling what is known to them. So whenever you're starting your class, constructivism and even active learning, the first focus is on your prior knowledge check, whether the students have the foundational knowledge required for taking this new concept or not. So prior knowledge, you will have to connect it with the current okay knowledge and then scaffold it to achieve the learning outcome of the class. So it's based on Piaget's and it is also based on Vygotsky's theories of constructivism. And here we more focus on scaffolding of the concepts to in order to attain the required outcome. Okay. Next, cognitive learning process.
Yes, ma'am.
Cognitive learning,
Cognitive.
Sarah.
You're saying, ma'am? Yeah. Mhm. So cognitive learning, over here the example is on history, the way it starts. So it's like a more of my subject. History.
Hmm.
The example here is what I want to share what I did. It's very nice things. One thing I really like in this article is that teaching for discovery. That really amused me. Like obviously, children doesn't know about a lot of things, so asking questions to first make them relax and tell them that they are not going to be graded. And then you have to lead a class discussion in a way that they don't have ready-made answers to give it, but that can increase their way of thinking. It construct their understanding. If they don't have anything in their hand and but still they are guessing, you are giving them questions, you're leading them to that. It's like you're not giving them, if they ask a question, it's not a way of answering then and there, it's a from the notebook, but they don't know anything about it, but you're asking them questions in a way that you're leading them to that answer. It will become more constructive. I really like this approach. I mean, we cannot we know how to do that, but the way of doing it, how the children can involve in the class on on the ground level, I really like that. Okay, and then even the background knowledge, even bringing them would be kind of a little bit difficult because it depends upon their extensive background knowledge also. But by giving them proper examples, we can still, according to their level of understanding, we can get them to that appropriate point. And yeah, and declare it. They are for getting them prepared in that way. There is three approaches. They can understand it more by declaring it, by by performing a proper procedure, and conditional knowledge, and keeping them, giving them the example that I just said.
Very true, very true. Yeah. Well, that is the procedural. What was the other two? Procedural. Three are there.
Declarative,
Cognitive
procedural, and
processes.
yes, ma'am.
No, you just said actually. I missed out. Procedural. What is it, Sarah?
The background preparation that the teacher needs to do, so that there's three things: declarative, procedural, and conditional knowledge.
Declarative.
Yes,
Conditional knowledge. Yeah. So you have to first identify what is the type of knowledge that you're imparting so that you can work based on that. Okay.
yes.
Right. The next person.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes, Mrinalini. Yes, Mrinalini.
So, social cognitivism.
Ah,
Can I speak?
just give me a few minutes. I think I'm having a lag. Yeah, yes, you can. Yeah.
Okay. So, social cognitivism theory was developed by Albert Bandura, and it emphasizes on learning occurs in social context and gets influenced by the peer or teacher. Sometimes the social media also affects it, and the factors which affect uh, the factors which are affecting the learners in the classroom uh, through the perspective of social cognitive theory is personal belief and attitude, and self efficiency, then behavioral pattern. Observe the learners observe behavioral pattern of the peers, and they adopt a couple of things from it and they implement it. So it can be a good one of the simple example of that, that adopting the vocabulary or a couple of sentences or some themes or terminologies which they find it, oh yes, it works with my observation or my it can help me in my reflection also. So, and another is environmental influences, as I said, the social media or the teacher or the peers can be a role model for among them internally. uh,
Okay.
yes.
Mrinalini, actually, social constructivism means learning from their peers.
Yes.
Okay, so social media is not considered here. The reason is they may be peers, they may not be peers. So
Hmm.
any group work, pair work in the class that is done for the learning process comes under social cognitivism. That is a collective thinking.
Okay.
Okay, that is actually called as social cognitivism. For example, you ask them to do a case study.
Yes.
Okay, you divide into groups. Now they get a data somewhere, let us say how much water they're using in household, different households. When they collect and come with the data, when they sit for discussion, when they share their ideas, remember they are going to talk on multiple aspects.
Hmm.
So their thought process is going to be in different ways. So that way of learning is known as social cognitivism. That was what Bandura was focusing on. Clear now? I'm just giving it in a gist because there are a lot of research articles and studies based on that. But cognitivism is mainly based on the thinking, and it is a collective thinking in groups that is needed for that. Okay? Clear? Yeah. Yes, next one is metacognition. Remember, metacognition is very, very important. Okay? Active learning, constructivism, metacognition. These three must and should be in your work. The others, you will be mentioning it only for the unit one. In case you come across, you want to connect, you can relate it, but there is another one, neuroscience, that is picking up. So cognitivism has come up to neuroscience. We will go into the next one. Okay. Just for your information. Okay. Now you can start. Yes, Anandita, you can start.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, metacognition basically means thinking about one's own thought processes or thinking. So it's a theory which basically focuses on how learners are aware of and how they control their own learning processes. And the theory was mainly propagated and propounded by Flavel in the year 1979. To discuss it in simple terms, is the difference between just simply doing a task mindlessly without thinking about it and understanding how you are doing it and why you are doing it. And bringing it down to the level of learners and students, if students are using metacognition, it will help them to identify which strategies are working best for them, how and when to adjust them, and how to improve. And this, I believe, will lead to more deeper and more independent learning and thinking processes. And when we're talking about Flavel's theory of metacognition, there are two portions of it. First way, according to what we have read, is metacognitive knowledge, and the second one is metacognitive regulation. Metacognitive knowledge refers to basically how, if I'm a learner, for example, how I'm aware of my own learning processes. That means I know what I need to know, how I need to learn it, and when to use what strategy to learn that. And second is, if you're talking about metacognitive regulation, that means how to control that learning. That means how to plan it, how to monitor what I'm learning, and how to evaluate my learning in order to improve what I am or my outcomes. If and this theory, I believe, somehow in some places aligns with cognitive learning theory also in some cases. And in if I'm putting it in perspective of my classrooms or English classrooms, for example, if a student in AS level is planning an essay, so during the essay planning, metacognitive knowledge may come when just before writing an argumentative essay, maybe he or she asks the question, like, what is the question prompt really asking? and which structure or which strategy should I use to best express my own viewpoint. So this step will actually activate the awareness of their learning process instead of just simple passive learning, where they're just not simply writing, they're planning on how to think through the entire question. Or even during, for example, another example would be writing or revision work, where metacognitive regulation may come into effect. For example, the student, after writing a revision work, they are evaluating it. They're thinking, does this paragraph, what I've written, is it supporting my argument? Is it validating my argument? Or am I using this example or evidence effectively? After drafting a response, if they think that, what can I improve in the tone or the structure in order to, this kind of self-questioning shows a metacognitive control, which I believe falls under metacognitive regulation, which can lead to more clearer and more coherent understanding of their writing. Another example would be reading and analyzing. In particularly English first language, there are lots of comprehension and essays that they need to analyze throughout the entire paper. So if they are saying that if a student writes that the poet over here or the writer over here uses repetition, and if the pattern is continuing and they're reflecting on it, this shows that they are predicting, questioning, and they're also connecting the knowledge which they have. And this can also be used for reflection activities, where at the end of each unit, when we are giving that exit ticket, over there, if the student is reflecting on what helped me understand this better topic better, or which feedback will improve my writing most after I have given them like graded their assignment or something. So this is like a metacognitive reflection which will reinforce their self-awareness and the transfer of learning. And I believe that why metacognition is very important at the end of the day, ma'am, it makes them independent thinkers and not just passive task doers, and it improves their critical and creative thinking, which is very, very essential for the subject I'm teaching to them. And memory and transfer is also highly improved, which again supports the Cambridge emphasis on application of knowledge over just simple recall of it. That's
Very true, very true. Because you've given very clear example. Because there are two things when we talk of metacognition. One is knowledge, one is regulation. Okay, knowledge is exactly what you told, how you apply it. Regulation is evaluating it to the positive and the negative side of what you are writing. Even to know when to stop actually is needed in metacognition. So that is very
yes,
true.
ma'am.
Yes, correct. Yeah, yes, Yamini. Yeah.
You gave me also metacognition, so should I continue or
Yes,
should put my
please.
view?
See, your age groups are different.
Yeah,
You're in the starting stage,
yeah.
she's in the ending stage of schooling. So the age groups are different. So you
Very
will
true.
have to, yeah.
When she was explaining the whole process also, like about metacognition, I'm trying to connect both the ends. Right. So to me, when I'm dealing with the primary, I see it mainly on think like they do metacognition without even realizing that they're working on it, thinking on their own thinking. That is the stage they are in at the current. So what we as teachers do is we guide them, like, okay, this is how you do it, or why you are applying this over here. We play with the questions of guiding and scaffolding them is what happens over here at this stage, improving their metacognition. That's what happens at our stage, like declarative, like what are you reading, okay, how are you reading it, like how are you like summarizing it, and why do you think this logic is applied here. Like let us say if I'm giving them a story, like write a story, I'm giving them two characters and I'm like, okay, write a story using these two characters. Now they have to figure out first, is it fiction or non-fiction they have to write. If I'm giving a rabbit and a horse, they have to figure out, okay, using rabbit and horse, should I write a fiction or a non-fiction? If I'm again giving, specifying that you have to write a fiction, then they have to realize what content they have to write, what are the logics, features that they have to apply in writing that content, and where exactly they have to put the problem, solution, and beginning, and all of these, they have to process it. They have to analytically process it according to the learnings what they have previously learned and apply it appropriately here. This is what metacognition at their level without their own knowledge that it is metacognition. But over time, if this practice continues, it helps them to become independent learners. There are many factors that affects this learning also. I think that is the main thing that we face. Age, so when we are trying to give them like learning variables, age, motivation, like previous knowledge, this affects their metacognition, analytical skills, like difficulty or complexity of the concept itself. They'll not be able to apply. Uh, if they are not able to process the theory, they'll not be able to apply what knowledge they have to put over there to get the desired answer or reply that they have to give, and gaps in the knowledge, and they'll not be able to they'll not be able to put the right simply to put, if they're not able to I'm thinking of an easy example which I do in the class. So apart from teaching regularly, I kind of do uh, I ask them, okay, if you're doing this one, what okay, there's a fight between my students, and they come to me and say, okay, so what happened here? One of the student comes and says, ma'am, he had hit me. It's like, okay, let me put this clearly. He had intentionally hit you like this, or it happened like this. Then they'll start thinking. Then they'll be like, ma'am, when they're playing, it had done. So if it is intentional, that means they did it wantedly while they're punching you. Now you tell me, if they did it like accidentally, they touched you, it is hitting or in an accident scraping. Then they'll think, they'll process, they'll analyze themselves, and they'll say sorry to each other. Like, okay, fine, I'll forgive you for this. Next time, be careful. So this is one thing that I noticed in my class when it comes to behavior and learning also. I am done,
Right.
ma'am. The
That's true,
point.
Yamini. In your class itself, yeah, in your class itself, the examples, no, more than writing. For example, you're narrating a story or you're teaching a lesson, you would have asked question, no, do you think this character did correct whatever was the situation, or do you think he could have reacted differently? Now that initiates the thought process. Okay, that
Yes.
becomes metacognitive knowledge because they are thinking from their point of view, their experience, connecting to the story and thinking about their thinking, whether it's right or wrong. That becomes metacognition in their process. So this is applied even to maths also, maths, science, everywhere it is applied. For example, if you say like missing numbers in addition, missing numbers is for smaller classes, missing numbers in subtraction. When do you think they will be able to put those missing numbers? Only when they start thinking in the direction that they have already, remember their prior knowledge has to connect, and they should have that idea that what numbers will suit that missing places to get the answer. Then they will be able to give the right solution. So that is how metacognition works.
And they
Yes,
can connect
Yamini?
so connecting missing numbers to
Yes,
sequence.
yes, that they will do once they understand that. Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
so now let us move to active learning and that related to constructivism. Please read through this article. I'll post this 5 questions. You can take a break also and read and write the answers for this in the chat box. Okay, so it's 11:29. 11:35 we will join back. Yeah, you can start answering. I have put the questions in the chat box.
Ma'am, actually, I do have one doubt, ma'am. When we were explaining about all the learning theories, you have said that metacognition and the constructivism are very important to include in our assignment. Apart from that, you have said one more. I actually missed out while I'm writing.
Active
Can you
learning,
please repeat?
active
Active
learning,
learning. Okay,
metacognition, and
okay,
constructivism.
okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. So here, ma'am, we need to summarize the entire article about this active learning. Do we need to summarize the entire things into one?
Yeah, I have given it as questions. So you have to write the answers of the question as single paragraph and post it
Okay,
in the
okay.
chat box.
Okay, okay. Right, ma'am. Okay.
Megha completed. All the 5 questions must be there in the answer. Okay. Rohini says active learning. Students are actively. Okay. Okay. Right. Okay, right. Yes, Rupa, right. Now remember, when you're writing about theories, you should also write about the challenges that you're facing with the theories. This theory says this, but I am not able to do in this particular scenario, this theory cannot be applicable. That also must be written. That is the reason I've given the last question as what hinders active learning? You will have to write what hinders active learning also. Okay. Yeah. Now this particular article gives you the entire detail of how exactly it works. Okay, construct. You can take time and read. Don't be in a hurry. Okay, just take time and read, but just have an understanding about how exactly it is working. Very true. Yes, it can be teacher-centered thinking because you're asking the question. I'll give another 1 minute for you to post. Others have to post. I think Rohini, Rupa, and Megha have shared. Right. Who are passive may resist participation. That's true. Yes. Okay. You can start sharing. I'm just moving on with the next one because there are two more theories that we have to talk about. One is humanism. Now you can read about this humanism. Okay. Humanism is more about connecting with human emotions. Okay. That is, we say that a happy child is a learning child. So that part becomes true when you have the students in your classroom very engaged. For example, if the child comes hungry without having breakfast in the morning, the child's concentration will not be in your class. So they get distracted. That is actually going to hinder learning. So that should not happen. So that is the reason this theory focuses more on the human side of learning. But the latest and the important aspect is how is memory related to learning? Remember I said you, as you learn, the structure of your brain changes. And now we are very sure that the genetics also changes. These structural changes also change the functional organization of the brain. In other words, the learning organizes and reorganizes brain, and different parts of brain may be ready to learn at different times. So these are key aspects that we have to focus when you're writing your assignment also, because there is an important question on the role of memory in learning. So how exactly are you aiding to improve memory among your students is an important question that you will have to answer in your assignment. So read through this article. Humanism, you can do it later because that is just on the feeling, like understanding about human feeling and how you apply it. But this I would like you to go through and put it in the chat box. Okay. Active learning, okay.
Ma'am, we need to go through all the entire document related to memory.
Yes, you have to because it's all related. See, the questions in your assignment is
Okay, ma'am.
what
Okay, sure, ma'am.
part does memory play in the learning process? Yeah, if you have done, you can speak through how exactly you can develop a practice that actually, remember, you're not going to talk much about the biology side here. You will be talking about how exactly memory helps in your classes and what are the techniques that you're adapting in order to see that they retain memory. Okay, so memory, what happens is we say that whatever is short goes to the short term memory. Okay, from short term memory, it has to go to the working memory and to the long term memory. Now, this movement, if anywhere doesn't happen properly, then the child's retention is not going to happen. Okay, so in order to see that the short-term memory is active and it is passing or it is moving towards the working memory and then to the long-term memory, we have to devise strategies. Remember, we are not interested in the biology part of it. For us, the most important aspect is how much retention the child can and what are the retention strategies that we are going to focus on. So there we have to understand the neuroscience part of the memory. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. You can start sharing your ideas. Yes, Anand.
Yes, ma'am. According to, after reading the article, ma'am, the question was asked that how can we derive, just a minute, ma'am, I'll open the question once. Yes, derive a practice by which we can improve memory of our students. So, ma'am, if we practice
Yes.
some structured brain-friendly like memory sessions, I wanted to highlight a few. For example, if you want to engage the brain actively, then we can do something like we can use multisensory techniques like reading aloud, but particularly pertaining to my subject, English. I'm saying reading aloud, drawing mind maps of a particular concept, or making some sort of a structured algorithm or diagram, or even in junior classes sometimes using flashcards. These can be effective. For example, ma'am, if they are trying to learn good vocabulary, the students can write the word or say it aloud and even make a small sketch or some diagram to represent it. This, in many cases, it can work because according to what again the article says, it strengthens the neural connections in the brain and it can basically physically alter it to retain better information. This is one way. Another way is to repeat and reorganize, repetition and reorganization, which helps the brain to function and organize it better. For example, using spaced repetition. If I want to like put it in the perspective of English, for example, revising the key concepts of a particular, for example, if they are doing English writer's effect and revising the key concept in intervals. For example, day one they revise it, then again they give a gap, and on day three, then again after a gap on day seven, and mix the topics that they are doing instead of focusing on one single topic at a time. I believe the brain retains the reorganization and functions better. And this helps also, according to the article, to integrate new knowledge with or which the knowledge which already exists in their neural networks. Another thing can be, ma'am, timing and readiness. Like when is the optimal time for the brain to grasp the knowledge? So for us teachers, if you're scheduling learning activities based on their peak attention times, like shorter time for focused work and for example, a 25 to 30-minute work if I give for a study session with some kind of 5 to 10 minutes break, which I believe we call as a Pomodoro technique. This can sometimes work for better retention and also tailoring the specific lessons, which I not most of the times it's possible because of the routine and the timetable which is scheduled for us. Like tailoring the content for the time of the day. For example, if you're having if classes in the morning, then trying to do difficult topics or analytical topics during that time, and then scheduling more creative reflective tasks in the relaxed periods which come post lunch. I think that can be something which also helps, in the timing and readiness of the learners to actively learn and engage in the topic. And afterwards, ma'am, another thing that I could believe might be included is like encouraging the learners to self reflect and self test after a particular thing or a particular topic has been done, which also I believe it helps to strengthen memory. For example, at the end of the lesson, every time I try to end the lesson 5 minutes early so that we have an exit ticket where they can summarize the key points of what they have learned, like one or two key points everyone says, which they have without looking at any of the notes that I've given. So that also can help to retain memory and brain function, I believe. That's all, ma'am.
Very true, very true. That actually is one of the key aspects of memory. We say that you should have spaced repetition, you should have chunking first your material, and now see that you take a break, intermittent breaks whenever you are continuously studying, and have association. Association mnemonics also can actually help. Yeah, any other persons would like to? Yes, Rohini.
Ma'am, actually, as you said, like a happy child is the one, is a learning child, right? So,
Yes.
memory also, I think we remember, so far we can, we remember the most happiest learning things, and when teachers scolded, when we don't know something, and when teachers scolded, same sad moments in the classroom. So student will remember these two things in their mind when they are
Yes.
learning happy, and they are very uh, positive towards their learning. When teacher give them appreciation, they will get more enthusiasm to learn more things, and they will remember what they learned for the longer time, and it will reach into the long term memory, the content which they learned. The when student made some mistakes, we sometimes will teachers teachers mental like what teachers anger shows the direct impact on the student. If we shouted
Mm.
on them, then they're trying, whether they are trying also, they will stop that, and they will fall into the self doubt, and their memory will not uh, will forget what they are about to learn, and they will only remember what teacher scolded. So by that
Mm.
also,
Mm.
child memory will, they will not be passionate towards the learning the things, and they will be
Okay.
fearful. They will show fear instead, and they will build fear to learn that particular topic. They will come to an understanding like okay, we don't know this topic, we can't learn this. They will build a negative aspect towards the topic which they were not confident enough. So
Okay. Mm.
memory or memorizing will memorizing the concept will depends upon the active classroom environment, and active interaction between the teacher and student. And one more
Mm.
thing to say is sometimes students they will be having short term memory, like they will be answering actively in the class immediately after the session completes. If we are asking the same questions the very next day, they are not able to answer that particular questions which they already answered the before day class actively, which
Mm.
they
Mm.
answered. So
Mm. Mm.
their memory did not long for the longer time. So the more for attaining that short term memory into the long term memory, to memorizing the concept, particular concept for the longer time, I always ask students to write down. Because when we
Mm.
read and write particular thing, what is there in our mind, we will remember that for longer time. And one more thing is
Okay.
what we
Yeah,
see
that.
visually, what students see visually and what they did in practice, they will remember it for a longer time. So these were the practices that I follow in the class. So that's what I understood, how to make student to memorize the content what they learn in the class actively, and make them store in for the long period of time. That's it, ma'am. Thank you.
Very true. Very true. Yeah. Actually, I wanted to ask you something, Rohini. I missed it out.
Yes, ma'am.
I was thinking of something. I missed it out. Okay. When it come, I'll ask you. Okay. No, when you were saying something, I wanted to ask you. Okay. When I recall, I'll ask. Yeah. Others?
Ma'am, can
Yeah,
you
ma'am.
hear me, Abby?
Just want to add three. Okay, make. Okay, right. I'll speak later.
Shall I continue, ma'am? Or else you can go. I'll talk after yours. It's done. No issues.
You can go ahead, ma'am.
And now,
Yeah, Megha, please go ahead.
Okay, ma'am. So I would like to share the points which will help in the retention of memory in students is what I believe if we provide a supporting learning environment to the students, like if the classroom is calm and encouraging, and if we set a positive vibe in the classroom, it will help the learners to focus, and it will help them build confidence, and will help them retrieve the information for a longer period of time. And the second point which I feel is by using certain visual aids, like if we use a mind map or a chart or diagrams while explaining a topic to the students, it will help them remember it much better.
Okay. Yeah. Yes, Yamini, you can.
this is my observation, not just in grade one, like to other classes also when I randomly went for some sessions. Okay. So I've observed again the memory retention depends on the age group of the people of the learners. The techniques
Hmm.
again differ, and approach also differs in the sense.
Mhm.
Um, for grade one, when I teach, I go with actions a lot, where if they want some cues, like prior knowledge check plays an important role for retention for first, to for the memory check. And so when I am doing the prior knowledge check, or when I'm asking them random questions, suddenly, you remember this, do you remember where I use this? So I use that particular hand cues or gestures which we use when we are teaching them at that point of time. So that gives
Mm-hmm.
recollection of what happened, or the voice modulation, another one.
Mm-hmm.
To a little higher grade, I noticed when I'm able to connect that scenario, whatever I'm explaining, to a movie or a realistic scenario, they are able to connect it much more clearly and recollect very quickly.
Yes.
So, like uh, realistic scenarios, like in a day-to-day life, uh, I, I I I saw more memory retention when you apply that to the realistic scenarios.
That's true.
That's
That's true,
that's
Yamini. That's yeah. Yes, Rupa.
Yeah, ma'am. As you asked us to say about this various kind of that okay retention strategies that actually help the students to retain the memory. So here first is the okay retrieval practice. It is also very much important, ma'am, as it's a very much powerful memory enhancing strategy that actually involves
Mm.
promoting students to actively recall the information from their memory rather than
Mm.
just rereading or just reviewing their notes.
Mm.
And it actually okay strengthen their neural connections and improve their
Mm.
long retention. For example, here I want to give my English class. For example, I just begin my class with a short activity where the students are asked to just okay, list all the themes that they just remember from one of the okay novel. So which we have done. So I asked the students to recall the key okay vocabulary words from the previous unit, and okay they should use them in the original sentences, right, ma'am? That is the okay
Okay.
retrieval that I have done. Second one is the reflective general also. It's a very powerful meta metacognitive strategy, ma'am, that helps students consolidate their learning by just encouraging to think deeply. I just encourage them to think deeply, right, about what they have learned, what actually challenged them, and what they still remember. So ma'am, this entire reflective general process, this actually strengthens the memory by making the students actively process and personalize the content. For example, in the English class, right, ma'am, at the end of the each week, I just ask the students that they should write the journal entry where they actually summarize the new grammar rules which we usually done in the language focus. They should write about the literary concepts the entire week that we have done. Vocabulary they have just learned. So they just might also just reflect on what activities help them the learning best, or which areas were right, ma'am, they were actually confusing and they want more and more clarity. That is the reflective journal also very helpful for them in just retaining their retaining their memory. After that, the active reading strategy is also very much essential for improving the comprehension and the long term memory of the text in the English classroom. Basically, active reading strategies, as they just engage the students directly with the material. They're transforming reading from a passive activity to an interactive one. For example, I just asked the students to read a poem. So students, I just ask them to just underline the figurative language, like the metaphor, personification, onomatopoeia, and they just write the margin notes about their thoughts, questions, or their emotional responses, and they just summarize each and every paragraph in one sentence, right, ma'am? So this kind of approach helps the students bring the complex language into the simpler one, and they can recall also whenever they want through the active reading strategies.
Sure.
3 I have.
Sudama?
Yeah.
Ma'am, I have
Yes.
one.
Yeah.
I have one question.
1 minute. Now suddenly this becomes lagging. Just a minute. Yeah. Yes. Yes, Yamini.
Actually, for memory recollection, we are not see. I have this doubt, so I thought I should put forward in front of you to get your views also. So the thing is, we are English is not our core subject, core language. Our languages is very like Telugu, Hindi, different core languages we have. So when we use all of this, especially when it comes to memory, what I observed in classes, when the connection between the learning language and the core language is provided, so the retention is better. Like
Better.
the core
Yes, definitely better.
advisable or it is not advisable in the class,
See, it is
especially.
advisable. It is advisable if they can relate it to the core language or their native language. The reason is, remember, genetically they are tuned to the native language. Okay, English is something that they have to adapt to. So definitely it is good if you can converse with, or no, you can adapt the bilingual strategy in the class. But some of the parents and the grandparents would have already settled and would have adopted English as their native language. So for them, the native language becomes slightly different because the thought process is already started getting converted to English language. So there they may struggle a bit because you have NRI students coming. For them, they will struggle a bit, but otherwise locally, yes, with their native, this one, they will find it very comfortable because connections and associations can be made much easier for them. That can be made. Yeah.
Thank you.
So I'll just move forward with this diagram, which is actually how exactly you can benefit with your working memory. So working memory initially was only thought that it was related to cognition and consciousness. Later on, they understood it's muscle memory, so it can keep expanding depending on your interest, depending upon the age, depending upon the person. So, role of working memory was later understood in cognitive development, and it was research-wise proved that the knowledge or the speed all can increase based on different strategies that can be used. So, the various strategies that is suggested is one is chunking. That's the acronym CRIME. Chunking, that is classifying knowledge so that it connects to something else. That is your prior knowledge connect, or no, in bits and pieces. Like that is the reason we say don't leave your class with something that you wanted to complete but you could not complete. If you feel that you cannot complete the next topic, don't start the topic. Okay, you will have to stop it there and then start it from the next class. Next is rehearsal, practicing. This is spaced repetition. Or in primary classes, you can use song, rhyme, action, words, all those, movement, repeating. Next is imagery. Imagery is, for example, you would have heard this person, neurolinguists, saying that this many words we can remember. So how do they do it actually? They remember the entire list of words as images. A cat sitting on a book and the book is on the table. So when they say cat, the next word will come book. The book is on the table, so the next word is the table. The next is it's near the window, window will come. Window is close to the wall will come. So they link these words and form an image. And that imagery is something that helps you recall. Okay, that is one. Next is mnemonics. You would know, my very eager mother. That is the 9 planets mnemonic. So these are mnemonics also can be used. Of this crime itself is a mnemonic. Next is elaboration, attaching a story or personal significance to that information. For example, I went to vote, I saw something, that can be a topic that they can understand. Or for example, they see an accident happening and what is the first aid given. So when you're teaching a first aid lesson, that becomes a important aspect to recall. They can connect and remember. So they growing a seed, seeing how the plant grows. It's a personal attachment which actually helps them to recall information. So when we look at this, actually working memory is not only beneficial in learning, but also helps in developing critical thinking. So from short-term thinking, remember short-term memory, data has to transfer to working memory. From the working memory only it goes into the long-term memory. So that is the reason we have to see that you have heard of the term cognitive overload. You have heard of the term cognitive overload?
Yes, ma'am. We have done. We have studied. One of the document it is there.
Cognitive, yeah. Cognitive overload is, see, for some, studying one paragraph is cognitive overload. They can't go beyond that. The reason is they are not interested. Basically, it is not that area of their choice. We are pushing them to study that. That is the reason they get cognitive overload. Some of them, the entire book they can finish off. They don't feel that overload. So learning also, when students take it as a stressful experience without interest, it becomes an overload. Okay, when Rohini was saying, now I got it. Rohini, when you said teachers are scolding and students keep that in mind. Remember, you scold the same child every day, they keep in mind. But if it is like once in blue moon you have done, remember the child realizes I have done something bad, my teacher is feeling bad.
May I talk, ma'am?
Yes.
Actually, I want to share one experience as now I am a teacher. But when I am a student, when I am in my 5th standard, my physics teacher, I learned properly and I remember everything and I wrote a slip test in very good manner and I wrote everything right. She thought that I copied and she didn't give me chance to say. I even said, ma'am, I can, you ask me now, I can say it. In another class in front of seniors, she scolded me. The day I thought like, No, I though I read a lot also, I am not getting recognition. I am not. I am getting scolded by teacher. So the very next day, I lost interest in that subject. And I will say you another example of one more
That is
teacher
true.
in the my one of my
Rohini,
teacher.
this part we will be dealing next week. This part we will
Yes,
be
ma'am.
dealing next week. Now remember, there are what I am talking about and you are talking about is different. I
That
am
is like
talking
a
about
memory.
hurting teachers' feelings because you were a
So
child who is reading and you have hurt teachers' feeling, but what you are talking about is insulting.
yes, yes, ma'am. That's
You
what
were
I can't able
insulted.
to convey it properly actually. So that
Yeah,
will
you were
that will
insulted.
impact on
That
the child's
will hurt.
memory.
Definitely, definitely. Okay.
And one more thing, ma'am,
So that,
one more experience I
yes,
want to share with you all people that I still remember the frog detection which is shown by my mathematics teacher. Mathematics teacher, she's shown us frog detection in our fourth class. Okay, ma'am. I even now can remember why, because in fourth class we don't have anything related to biology like frog internal organs, right, ma'am? But as a child, when I saw the detection, till now I'm not a biology student or BPC student. I never took BPC group also, but till now also I can able to remember and recall the day how she shown that internal organs, how tiny they looks inside the frog. I still remember that. So I understood one thing is, as a teacher now, I also want to implement such kind of practical knowledge to the students that they can visually see, understand and observe and learn that, and they can able to store that in the memory, in their memories for
very
the
true.
it improves their long term memorizing the concept. So
Very
that's
true.
what, even that I practically implemented in my sessions in schools. Sometimes, apart from when Chandrayaan, like these things, though they are tiny dots, I will explain them in the way curiously, showing them in my in screen on screen and in form of videos like that. They got curious, and last year what I have explained, whenever they spotted me somewhere, they will say, ma'am, that day you explained that, we remember that. They will be saying that with full of interest and full of happiness. So it is very happy that they remembered that. So that's
Very
what
true.
I
Yeah.
want to share with you, ma'am. That's it.
Yeah. So this is about the memory part. The last part of today's session is about metacognition.
Ma'am, I just
Already,
want to
like I said,
share one thing on the with the
yeah, let us
memory.
make it quick, no? Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
No, I just very quick. It's about numbers. If you want to, in this article I have read that if you want to learn numbers, you can even connect it with the words, consonants, and the sound, and that is how also you can remember numbers. Okay, that's it,
Yes,
ma'am.
yeah, very true. That's a very nice one. Yes, you can. Now, the article metacognition, connect and talk for one of the statements that is given below. What is metacognition? Already Anandita has given. So the reason for this is that research shows that learning is not one single entity or skill, but range of learning practices or competencies that enhance students' capacity to learn. So I have already talked and given one example related to this. Let me see, but because the slide is totally on recall. Next one is, these competencies suggest that learning is not something that can be simply done by students by teachers, but requires students to actively participate in the learning. To do this, that is to do metacognition, students need to think how they think in order to learn more effectively. Give one small example and substantiate the statements. Any one of the statements you can substantiate. You will have to prove to me this particular statement is true. Anyone. Give us example and proof. Because that is how you're going to write about metacognition in your assignment. I would not like Anandita to talk or Yamini to talk because you both have given. So others need to connect with metacognition and talk. Any one point. Yes. Megha, Mrinalini, Sara, Rupa. Any small example, just 1 minute, give me a small example. This is what I understood. This is how I am doing metacognition in my class.
Ma'am, uh, in a self-regulated learning way.
Mm.
I mean,
Yes.
uh, uh, it's okay. Just give me 1 minute. I'll frame it in a better way with an example, and I'll give you.
Okay. Yes, Mrinalini.
So, in step by step routine learning, uh, I regularly make a practice before we start the lesson. We have one big image we will have. So by giving a engaging warm up question to them, uh, I just try to activate their prior knowledge, how they can correlate what comes in their mind as a picture by observing it. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so this is one of the practice which I follow every day. And then space retrieval, that is chunking and mapping. Uh, so that also I practice. Once giving a break after one day, asking the while revisiting the topic after 3 days, or say for after example, say after a week also. So that also
Mm.
helps them to have a long term memory. So such kind of practices I follow.
Okay, that's for memory. I'm asking about metacognition. I've given the questions in the chat box. Yes, Rohini.
Man, actually, in my
Yes,
class,
Rohini.
I will be following like I will ask students to understand the concept step by step, like in a constructivism manner. They should understand the
Mm.
concept in a step by step manner, and they need to think in which way they can. For example, we for every for every question we can solve the solution in the multiple ways. So teacher will teach us
Mm.
one method. We will
Mm.
teach them one method. So I will ask students to think out of box and think what they think and what they observe from that from
Mm.
the particular concept that they learn, and I ask them to solve in different way which I didn't explain to them. So
Very
trying
good.
to
That is
ask
correct.
them to try that, so that
Yeah.
they can observe their own thinking, and they can
Mm.
analyze their own internal answers, like what their own ideas and thoughts. They can analyze them with themselves, and they can come up with new answers. So
Very
this is
good.
what
Correct.
I will practice in my class. Thank you, ma'am.
Very true. Yeah. See, you're all doing it, but
Okay,
you do
ma'am.
not
Okay.
know that is
So
metacognition. Yes, Sarah.
okay, yeah, so metacognition is like how your brain works when you learn or solve a problem. So
Mm.
it regulates monitoring yourself means the way you're solving this problem isn't if it's not working, then we change the theory and we'll try to solve
Yes.
it in a different way. If it is not working with the group discussions, we change it with the role play
Mm.
where
So
where
how does
we can.
metacognition help you? How does metacognition, when you're changing from group discussion to role play, how exactly do you think metacognition will help you?
by
It
rethinking the
helps,
way.
but
Now,
no,
by
you
re
tell me in your class, learning part, how does it actually help you for the
Okay, like
students
for an
learning?
example, in a okay, ma'am, for an example, in a civics class, I'm explaining them about how the Panchayati Raj system works. So
Mm,
I told them to form different groups of different Panchayati Raj system and discuss among it what are the similarities and what are the differences. So
mm,
the children were not able to understand how it works, like they were not even
mm,
able to say it, like what are the similarities between them and what are the comparisons between them. So what I did,
mm,
I changed it to a role play. I specifically gave every children, like there is a sarpanch and there are panch, and this person is doing for a Naya Panchayat and the for the Gram Panchayat. So then in what are
mm,
the from where the taxes are coming? I like the
mm.
similarities in that. So everybody have their specific roles. So it was easy for them to understand the concepts. So by metacognition, the changing of theory helped. I mean,
Right.
I
Now
did
that
that,
means
but I
you have
never could
broken down.
relate it with the
Yeah.
theory. So
Okay.
so then I got to know by changing a theory is also a metacognition. Like
It's
how
not
to
theory.
understand.
Actually, what you have done is initially you had asked them a bulk thing. They will have to recall and then get into different roles and talk. They were not able to do that. So instead, now memory based, you chunked it. Now you have given specific targets to of metacognitive knowledge that they have to think about, relate, and answer. You have given very specific small amounts of information that they will have to recall, connect, and talk. Okay. So that way you have actually adopted metacognitive knowledge into them. It's not something new, but something that they would have seen in movies or something like that. They can actually adapt to that particular role and then talk about that role and what exactly that person does.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Megha, Rohini
Yeah,
completed Sara, Megha, Mrinalini, and Rupa. Please
yeah,
complete
ma'am.
it. You have
Yeah.
completed.
That metacognition can be implemented in the English class by just guiding the students to plan, monitor, and just evaluate their okay learning okay during their work. For example, I just give here I just want to give the example that how I have implemented in my class regarding their okay narration writing. So I just that okay before starting that okay narration, students just reflect on the questions such as that okay what is the okay purpose of this, what do they actually already know about the topic, and what kind of structure should they use in their writing. So okay ma'am, during the entire writing process they just monitor their own progress by just okay checking if they are following their thesis and supporting their arguments effectively. And after completing the entire okay narrative writing, they just evaluate their work using a okay checklist or the rubric, and just reflect on the questions like what was okay challenging about that okay work which I have given to them, what okay strategies help them, what will they do okay differentially next time. So this entire reflective process helps the students become more self-aware, more okay independent learners. Okay, that is how I just implemented metacognition in my class regarding the
Okay.
narrative writing.
Okay. Okay. Yes, Megha.
Yes, ma'am. Um, so the practice which I follow often is I encourage self-reflection among the students. After a
Mm,
lesson is done, then what I do is I ask them to reflect and let me know that what and how they have learned the lesson. Sometimes I do ask questions like what was easy or difficult in the topic which you have done today, and what helped you better understand the topic. So in this way I encourage the self reflection, and they just come up to me orally with their answers that ma'am, this was the topic I didn't understand, can you please explain it once again with some more examples. So this is the practice which I follow for the metacognition process in my class.
Megha, actually, you remember you were telling about acquisition and participatory.
Yes, ma'am.
In that, actually, we had a discussion about that is the first part. The
Hmm.
reason for this, that research shows learning is not one single entity or skill, but a range of learning practices or competencies that enhance students' capacity to learn. I asked you, remember, whether the confusion was something that you caused or they were in the process of learning. So
Yes.
that is actually metacognition happening in your classroom.
Hmm.
Okay, the questions that they ask during the experiments that are happening, because it's not only theory, it is from every aspect, rules, everything they have to be talking about. Okay,
Yes.
so based on that, it comes. Okay, right. Yes, Mrinalini.
Uh, I think what I have observed in this text, that
Yeah.
we should first recognize the strength, limitation, and what is the nature of the task, and then we can plan the strategies to resolve the task. So this is how, if we work on each and every child, uh, or vice versa, if we give a question to them to reflect on the what they think, that can also help them. uh, that is what I have understood, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. So you can see over the period you will get, but now what I want you to do, yes, Yamini, you have raised your hand. Please go through your homework. Please write it as a note, actually. The question, explain your understanding of concept of learning and how people learn. Write it for 300 words in 1 minute. Yeah. So based on that, you will have to prepare notes. Don't send anything to me now. I'll tell you when you have to send. Now the word limit will be 300 words. Okay, 300 words. Prepare and keep it ready. Prepare and keep it ready. Okay. Okay. So I think so, feedback will be shortly shared with you in WhatsApp.
Ma'am,
Yeah. Yes, Yokini.
is there any format or pattern that we need to write, or
No,
normal
now you
word?
write, now you write, now you write. I will give you the template, everything. You can download the template. Give me some time, because no, our mail IDs are also not working. So once it is open, I will give you the access and you can start downloading the templates yourself. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. You can now prepare and keep with references. Remember that, with
Okay.
references.
Okay,
In
we
a
should add
simple
the we should add
word
the
document we can
in the
prepare, right, ma'am?
at the end also
Word
at the
doc,
bottom.
word
Ma'am,
document only. Rupa, yes, Rupa.
We should add the references in our content and at the okay bottom also, both the things we should do from where we have
See,
taken that.
that you have to prepare and keep now, so that final submission should be correctly done. That is the reason I'm saying whenever you're doing itself, keep your references ready. Okay. Yeah. Yes, yeah, Shweta. Yeah.
Ma'am, I was thinking of an example at that time for metacognition, right?
Yes,
So
yes.
this happened recently in my class. So the topic that we were teaching, that I was teaching, is uh, keynotes or writing keywords. So I they were all able to get how to underline the keywords and everything. The content is about a cocoa tree, from how the cocoa chocolate is made from cocoa pods, cacao pods.
Mm.
That so everybody underlined. Now they have to use those keywords, think and write in their own words. So that is all of them got stumped. So what I did was I picked 3 children from 3 categories: hots, mods, and lots. So I picked one from each. So they told, using their collected keywords, their own, in the whole, their understanding in their own words. So the hots were able to explain it very clearly. The lots were able to explain it, but the sentence structure and all, yes, a little here and there. And when it comes to the last category, they were able to do it. They were able to identify the words in sequence. So then I asked the class, the whole class, okay, did the content change? They said no. Did all of them express everything in the order itself? Yes. So did all of them express in the same way? They said no. So now can you think in your own words? It's okay, but can you think in your own words and write in your own format whatever you're about the content, using the keywords which you underlined? They all of them wrote. So they started thinking themselves and write again on what they thought and what they heard. They applied few things that they learned from somebody else in terms of framing sentence, like sentence starters, like that, and they completed the class. That was what
Okay.
happened in my.
Okay. I'm sorry, I'm cutting short here. So in case you are having any queries, please do post it. Okay. If any other queries you have? Any other
No,
questions or
ma'am.
queries?
We should just write it in the
Your feedback, I think shortly Shweta will, Shilpa will be sharing. So that's it. The PPT also is shared. Okay. So I'm just making a quick move. Any other question?
No, ma'am. We should just write it in.
Okay then. Okay then. Wish you all a,
Yes, ma'am. Happy Diwali.
yeah, you should actually just keep the document ready, because 3 weeks questions are there. 3 questions you will have to write and submit it together. Okay. That time I'll tell you the details. Okay then. Okay. Okay, ma'am. Jeevani ma'am, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
Happy Diwali.
Thank you, ma'am. Happy Diwali to everybody.
Happy Diwali.
Happy Diwali, everyone. Happy Diwali.